Coming up this week on the OK Bloomer podcast.
And you hear that, you think...
You read that and you think this is going to be a very special episode of Blossom and you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
But boy, you do not. I look back now and it's funny. What wasn't funny at the time? Me licking the dash.
And she says, only in Kentucky. And I went, eat Kentucky.
Blossom's coming for you. Joey Lawrence, like honestly, another acting tour de force, taking lemons and making like gold bricks out of just a bad script. One time, I nicknamed my little toe Tiffany Amber Thiessen. So every time I walked into the living room, I could bang her on the coffee table.
Oh my God.
Don't know about the future. Don't.
They don't care about the future, because they live it in the past. Sal and Curtis are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than this on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie, and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know.
Another episode of the OK Bloomer podcast coming from its new home here in the Damn Studios. That's right, we're in the Dufferin Avenue Media Network. So happy to be back after our brief 2-year hiatus. We're back in the studio recording new episodes of OK Bloomer, the weekly Blossom review podcast. And we are getting close to the end of season 2, joined once again by the always co-host. That's you, the always co-host. I said that. Sal Accardo. Sal, how's it going this week? The always co-host.
Oh, going so good, man. So good. We're wrapping up season 2 very quickly here.
We should get a sponsorship from Always, as this is a teenage girl Blossom podcast review. You know, we get a sponsored. We get a product placement. I talk all about Always.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, I'm down. Also, I got to make mention that I'm drinking out of our cup. If you don't know, you should know. On Sal's going away party, one of your last days here before you moved back home, we were at the bar, and we love these Rolling Rock cups. And I was like, "Waitress, can I buy a couple of these cups?" And she was like, "It's easier to just steal them." And I was like, "Okay." And then I came back, and I remember
that actually happened. I don't even remember that.
Yes. Well, yeah, you probably wouldn't remember, but I remember that she was like, "Just steal them. I don't care." And I was like, "All right." And then I just walked up to you.
I didn't know that because I didn't ask any questions. I just stole them.
I gave you this giant awkward hug, and you were like, "What are you doing?" And I just started stuffing these cups in like a bag, and you were just like, not hugging me back. And I was like, "Just go with it." And you're like making a scene. You're like, "Why are you hugging me, dude?" I was like, "I'm stealing. Oh my God, I'm stealing cups for us, Sal." Okay, so here they are. Cheers.
Yeah. Well, as per usual, things just go right over my head, and I ruin things in the moment.
They escalate. So. Oh no, not at all. You bring class and dignity to every situation, Sal. And speaking of class and dignity, where are we going today, Phenom, as we round out season 2?
Today, Monday, April 27th, 1992's Driver's Education. IMDb says Blossom takes her driving test and Joey is being sexually harassed at work. Disney Plus says Blossom uses feminine charm to pass her driver's test. TV Database says Blossom passes her driver's test, but only because she cries. Joey is being sexually harassed by his boss at work.
Right off the bat, saying Joey is sexually harassed by his boss at work sounds sad, but it is not.
Yeah. Well, that really stood out to me because I had no idea where this was going to go at all. And you hear that, you think...
You read that and you think this is going to be a very special episode of Blossom and you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
But boy, you do not. You do not learn from that storyline. And I can't wait to go into it.
And boy, did they pick the person to be doing the sexual harassment.
All right, let's take it away, Sal. Blossom comes dancing in from her driving lesson. There's the usual banter. But then, they cut something for time because Blossom says, "Don't worry, after tomorrow, I'll be driving by myself, and they cut her again, like midline, in one of the hardest cuts.
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it happened again very quickly. But there was a whole thing like when she came tap dancing into the kitchen, and Tony's sitting at the table. He's asking about her driver's thing. Nick says she took a full 10 minutes to make a left-hand turn, and then she ended up turning the wrong way down a one-way street. And then, rightfully so, Tony was like, well, why didn't you see the arrow, Nick? And I was thinking the exact same thing. And he said, because I was in the fetal position. And then, yeah, Blossom says, after I get my license, you'll never have to worry about me again. And as a parent, not true. Not true. But that's where it gets cut off and goes to the intro of the show.
Also, driving instructor humor, apparently a huge hit with the Phenom. He's busting a gut in the control room listening to you describe that. That's good. It's good. It's relatable. I mean, he got his license just a couple of years ago, so.
Yeah, I guess was the same situation. Was Phenom overly cautious?
I can't do it, man. My wife took him driving. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I'm too anxious. I can barely drive myself. I'm always just ramped up on coffee and don't have that all right, just take, To be fair, during COVID, I took him out when he was like 15 and let him, I think he was even younger than that, and let him drive around the Sastel Center parking lot. It was good times because we were so bored. Yeah.
And I slammed on my brakes and you spilt your coffee.
Yeah. You weren't supposed to be going out. So I went through the Tim Hortons drive-thru and had my first Tim's in a long time. And I was like, okay, just brake. And he hammered and it went all over the dash, which I deserved. But I look back now and it's funny. What wasn't funny at the time? Me licking the dash. Okay. Goes to the intro. It asks if I want to skip it. I do not. And
you're like LA Knight with the catchphrase, I do not.
Holy Sal. We start.
Yeah.
Mayim is dancing and it's passable. She must have heard me last week. Gone back in time.
She
and took
heard
some
your
lessons.
feedback and went back in time 30 years to.
She had Paula Abdul
Did you clock
off
the
to the
song
side,
that she was
teaching her to
listening to?
dance. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's in beat. It's crazy. Good on you. Good on you.
Did you
Mayim.
clock what she was listening to? I wrote, I think this is Milli Vanilli. I don't know. I had no idea who it was.
Is probably from All-Star Music Beats Volume 1, Track 6.
I thought you would know the song for sure.
Pardon me?
All right. I thought you'd know the song for sure.
If it was a real song, I'm sure I would have clocked it, but I think it was probably just, one of those generic.
Oh, it wasn't a real song. Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. It didn't stick with me if it was. So, I don't know. Maybe I just completely,
But
missed.
as she's dancing. Yeah.
Go
All
ahead.
right. As she's dancing, Six is rifling through her closet. She's planning an outfit for a road trip. And then as a callback to the last episode, they talk about what kind of tapes they're going to use in the car. They're going to listen to this song while they're driving. And then the punchline of the joke is, well, what music are you going to listen to when you're on the freeway? And she says Guns N' Roses.
I track this. So after she gets her license, when they're driving in the city, they're going to listen to Violent Femmes, Teenage Fan Club, and the new Springsteen album. But on the freeway, they're going to listen to Guns N' Roses. And I said, what a punchline. So as a Guns N' Roses fan, I'm confused because she wants to scream racial slurs and sing about beating women while she's highway driving, and that joke hurts, but it's the truth. I didn't connect those dots. She want to be angry highway driving, I guess. Is that what I'm
yeah, because you got to be aggressive on the highway, right?
Oh, okay. I get it now. In where I'm from, highway driving is the most relaxing thing in the world. We're in Saskatchewan. There's no hills. It's flat.
Dude, that is not the case.
No.
Toronto highway driving is the worst highway driving. Wow. Imaginable. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just a bumpkin. That joke was not for me.
Guess not, man. You don't live in a big city, bro.
All right. Fine. I suck. Moving on.
There's a lot of Guns N' Roses in my car when I'm driving on the highway, is what I'm saying.
Okay, I see. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. You related.
That was pointed directly at me, that joke, and it hit all the right notes there.
So Blossom's having her driver's test today, and Six is trying to slut her up so she can pass.
Yeah.
And because, quote, Shannon got her license because she wore a halter top, even though she hit a police car. So they're arguing about
Yeah.
feminist ideals, and Blossom doesn't want to set women back by crying and fluttering her eyes at the driving instructor to get her license. I thought, okay, we're headed in the right direction here. That's fine. We're acknowledging, that maybe that's not the best thing for women to do in 1992. I was like, all right, I'll go with this because it was written by It was written by Shelley Carroll, not the schmuck from last week, not my man Schmuck. But I'll give Shelley Carroll a chance.
All right. So Blossom says her feminist morals won't let her do that stuff on her driving test. And then 6 is talking about female manipulation. She's like, you got to do it. And then Blossom ends up lecturing her on why it's wrong. And then 6 pretends to be upset and then does like a fake out thing. And I don't know. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. It sets up the episode. It
saw
sets
what they
up
were
the
going
lesson
for.
of the episode as it goes forward. I agree. But yeah.
Also, I don't know how your episode actually looked, but on Disney Plus, mine was very yellow and a little overexposed. It really stuck out. It was, I don't know. It was like it was like rendered and exported kind of incorrectly. Because it you know how you watch like new HD and it kind of has that look compared to like the old whatever was shot in the 90s. It just like looks a little more fluid.
Yeah.
That's how this episode looked from 1992. It had that like it was like they tried to put like a modern filter on it. It was really distracting for me on Disney Plus.
I didn't notice because I was watching it on my phone.
There you go. Joey's all dressed up for work because his boss is an 18-year-old babe that has the body of an 18-year-old babe. Appreciated that.
I like that line a lot.
And
Holds
here
up
comes
his hand
Nick.
for a high five on Nick.
Here comes Nick for some advice. Just, oh God, here we go, Nick.
Yeah,
Give Joey some advice about women. I can't wait. And he's like,
his advice was, you don't fish off the company pier.
Yep. And,
which is pretty good advice, I thought,
it's
actually.
kind of funny. And then he goes,
Larry David put it better when he said, you don't where you eat. But, same.
I remember when they
type of
used that
advice.
line in Party Down, and the girl was like, wait, am I the am I in this scenario? Am I the
That's
That was
right.
good stuff. And Joey, of
right.
course, goes, well, it's okay. We don't have a pier. I work in a video store. And Nick pretty much spikes the camera and rolls his eyes and thumbs down. Bring back the schmuck. Honestly, that's low-hanging fruit right there. Come on.
We're missing the schmuck.
Right?
So Tony's checking the answering machine, which is an outdated thing. And Nick has a call from skank number 44, Glenda Dudley from high school. She's in town and wants to meet Nick for dinner. Nick, surprise, surprise, does not remember who she is.
I wrote, Nick says, I have no idea who that is, and I don't doubt that for a second. Anthony does this
then Tony
weird
and,
Star Trek bit.
yeah, the Star Trek thing while they get his yearbook out and he's playing Kirk and Joey's playing Spock and they're talking about going back in time to whatever year, 1977 or whatever it is.
Okay, that's
Whatever
the
year it
connection.
is that
that went right over my
that
head.
Nick graduated high school. Yeah. And then they find her in the yearbook and Nick remembers her as Ugly Dudley is what they used to call her.
Well, first of all, he goes, oh, yeah, Dudley, she's a cute little redhead with the face of an angel. And Anthony goes, no, she's a big fat brunette with the face of an Airedale.
Yeah.
Take that, women. I don't even know what an Airedale is.
I don't either.
Phenom?
I have no idea.
What's an Airedale?
Give me a second.
Okay. And I wrote, wow,
All
Shelley
right.
Carroll, take that, women of 1992. Here we go again. They called her Ugly Dudley, and Joey says the only time she got to second base was at the petting zoo. What? The boys high five. What? Nick scolds them for being cruel to women. What?
Okay, sorry. It looks like
What is
Airedale is
happening
a
here?
dog.
Okay.
Airedale
Oh.
Terrier.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Legend of the dog-faced woman. So Nick says that he's going to go out with her, and they basically call him out. They're like, you're just going out with her to prove a point. And you know exactly where this is going.
100%.
She's going to show up, and she's going to be hot now. And then right at the very end of the scene, Joey goes, hey, look at this band geek, and then realizes it's Nick.
I
as
like
he's
that.
pointing to the yearbook,
I
which
thought that was
really
pretty.
funny.
That was
Yeah,
pretty funny. And he's like, "Oh, sorry,
that
Dad."
is so good.
Oh my God! Off to the video rental.
So where are we at
store.
next, Curtis?
We're off to the video rental store, and holy crap, Sal! It's Kelly Kapowski.
It's Kelly Kapowski. Is his
Tiffany
boss.
Amber
And
Thiessen herself on Blossom.
Yeah. And she is dressed like she's going to a nightclub with a name tag on. Like, what? She works at a video store. Like, I did not understand her attire at all.
I didn't clock a lot of
joke
this,
here.
but yeah, what was the joke? Dum Joey put like a porno in the like staff pics or something.
Yeah, he gave Mr. Rabinowitz a porno film to rent, and she ends up firing him, but then tells Joey that he can keep his job if she'll go on a date with him. Now,
you first, Sal.
I don't even know where to go with this because the show had the right message here, but I feel like they picked the complete wrong person to have this storyline with. Phenom is actually a good person to ask. Do you know who Kelly Kapowski is?
No.
Do you know who Tiffany Amber Thiessen is?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say she is probably one of the top 3 hottest girls from the 90s. If not top 2, if not top.
If you ask anybody, growing up in the 90s, who was like your first crush on TV, it was Kelly Kapowski, like 100%.
It was her, probably followed by
like
Pink
Kelly
Ranger,
Kapowski,
Topanga,
the Pink Power Ranger, maybe Topanga. Yeah,
Winnie
exactly.
Cooper. That's about it. But I would probably put Tiffany Amber Thiessen at the top. So I said they're trying to teach us some sort of lesson with the Tiffany Amber Thiessen power dynamic. And I'm sorry. Let me tell you, teenage Curtis would have rolled over broken glass to drink her dirty bathwater. One time, I nicknamed my little toe Tiffany Amber Thiessen. So every time I walked into the living room, I could bang her on the coffee table.
Oh my God.
Did you like that? That is a good joke. I don't care. I've been trying to find a home for that one for like 10 years, and here it is. Tiffany Amber Thiessen got it. He's like, so I get to date you and keep my job? Wrong girl for this part. Right?
Yeah. Agreed. But here we are. So that's the whole scene, and that's setting up Joey's exact story for this episode, which is confusing for me. But
stupid. I'd be like,
anyways,
I'll quit my job right now, Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Like, I don't. What do you want from me? Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll go work at a video
Can I just
store.
be seen in public with you? Like, you don't even have to talk to me. Like, yeah, swing and a miss here.
All right. Yeah. So
Blossom has a driving test, Sal.
It's at the DMV. Blossom said she finishes her exam and she says, I swerved to avoid a hat that I thought was a cat. And then she said, I'm a big Dr. Seuss fan. Did I fail my test? And the instructor says, did Horton hear a who? Sure.
Like I said, low-hanging fruit. You can tell the difference between writers. Did Horton hear a who was what we had this week. Last week we had, did David Ku Klux Klan guy wear a pointy hat?
Yeah.
Like, you could just...
Right.
The adults were talking last week. We've got this kid this week again, and I'm not a fan. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with how that played out. I want the schmuck back. We need schmuck.
Absolutely. So Blossom fails her driving exam, and then she starts crying, and that makes the instructor freak out. And he's like, I can't take it. My teenage daughter cries all the time, and my wife cries all the time, and my mother-in-law cries all the time. And then he passes her just so she'll stop crying.
This guy
sucks. Then at the end of
this guy sucked as like an actor. Like, is this another writer? Now I'm like in my head about that because this guy really
it might
sucked.
be. I didn't clock that, but she makes a face at the end of the scene. Honest Blossom, knowing that she didn't get her driver's test or she didn't get her driver's license honestly, so she's disappointed in herself, and that plays out in the very next scene. So back at home, there's balloons and a camera, and they're all standing at the door waiting to get a picture of her as she comes in, and they're celebrating Blossom for passing her exam.
Anthony has a sign that says congratulations. And I
Yeah,
wrote, initially I was like, that's pretty presumptuous. Like, what if she had failed? But then it plays out because she comes in and she's not happy. So they think she did fail, and he turns the sign around and it says, like, better luck next time. And then she explains how she, like, used her feminine wiles to get her driver's license, and she calls herself a hypocrite. And Nick tries to, like, talk her down, but she calls herself a hypocrite and storms upstairs crying. And then Anthony turns the better luck next time sign to Nick. And I felt like that may have been like a little ad lib from the Anthony character, but I thought that was really good. It might have been. It was really funny.
And it comes back throughout the episode. And at first I was like, this is kind of a dumb, like, Wile E. Coyote type like trope. But like by the end it was like, all right, it's making me laugh because he's not talking through the entire scene. He's just flipping the sign back and forth. Good luck and then better luck next time, based on what was happening in the conversation, and it was pretty funny. So up in her room, Blossom's upset that she betrayed her principles, and then Six said she doesn't even know what her principles are yet.
So they get into it. Six is like, this is our way of leveling the playing field because men have so many more advantages. And I was like, yeah, I'll accept that. Sure.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And then Blossom says, well, we're pretty much equal with men these days, which fast forward to 2025, and I won't get into it, but anyways,
we need the show back.
We need the
Forget
show
Malcolm
back
in the middle. We need to reboot Blossom. Maya needs to tell us what's what about gender relations and fairness in 2025.
And Six has a good line here that says the only thing men really have left is to go bald and kill spiders. And yeah, fair enough.
And then they make a joke about they get to pee standing up, and it was just like, I kind of lost that one because she's like, they get to pee standing up, and then one of them was like, well, we get menstrual pain and men just go bald. And I wrote, not their best work.
Yeah,
I didn't. It just kind of hung there and didn't really. They had no idea how to end that scene.
Yeah, it was weird. But Blossom said she wants to give her license back. And I was like, can you do that? Like, if you pass it, can you just go back and be like, I don't want this?
Without getting your driver instructor fired? Probably not.
Yeah, I know.
I believe they too many cooks the house out of this, and then we go back downstairs, and now Buzz is pointing and laughing.
Buzz is in on the yearbook.
In the yearbook.
Yeah.
And he goes, calling her ugly is generous. He goes, feel free to share memories, Nick, but don't share any of her kibble. Jesus Christ.
But I feel like Joey was like so over the top here because he was like everything that Buzz was saying. He was like, oh, like it was so good. Like, they're just shoehorning Buzz into another episode.
Yeah, they really got the characters wrong here because now Nick is standing up for women. He's like, you can't judge a book by its cover. Like, sit down, Nick Russo. What do you? I guess he's like, Allay is Allay. I don't care. I'm Nick Russo. Right?
Yeah.
He goes,
Glenda's here, and they're all running to the door to answer it, which was pretty funny.
Oh,
and
sorry.
surprise,
This was
surprise,
it. This was
Glenda
it, Sal.
Dudley
Sorry.
now.
Sorry, this was it. Nick says, you can't judge a book by its cover. And he says, that's a good thing for you, Buzz. And there's this super funny cutaway of Buzz just going... I don't know why it was so. It's just like he didn't have a line. It just cut to him for 2 seconds, and he just had the funniest like fake hurt face. Like he just got put in his place so bad by like a D grade burn. He's just like,
yeah. Oh man, it's so good.
Stuff. So here you are, ding dong. It's Glenda.
Yeah, and they're all tripping over each other to answer the door. Nick shoos them away. Joey and Tony are standing on the stairs, and here comes Glenda. Surprise, surprise. She's hot now.
Did you see, though, Joey Lawrence running down the stairs? He's running, like, crotch first down the stairs. I watched it two or three times. I was like, Joey Lawrence just getting that in there. He was, like, running like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He's like being guided down the stairs. I was like, that's snuck that one by. I really appreciated it. I was laughing so hard about that. I wrote, so Joey's there, Buzz is there, Anthony's there. There's more wood in this living room than in Grey Owl's cabin. A Grey Owl joke. What? Come on, Sal.
I don't get that reference at all.
Read a book.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
look up Grey Owl. I guess that's not a thing out there. Grey Owl was just like very famous. He I don't really want to get it. He kind of Buffy Satan Marie did, but it was okay. He got a pass. He was just this like English guy that pretended to be like Aboriginal, and he like just fell in love with like Prince Albert National Park in Waskesiu and like built this super famous cabin. Was this like advocate for nature, and the whole time he was just this like white English guy that just was like, I don't want to live there anymore. And everybody's like, that guy's so cool.
So just let me get this straight. It's my fault for not reading a book because I don't know who Grey Owl is. Meanwhile, you're coming up with these universal references here that everybody's going to understand. Just making it clear.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. I know you're very well read. Here, it's like we don't have.
That's not
Come
true.
on, you're in like
I'm not trying to pretend
Ontario.
that I
We're
am.
in Saskatchewan. We have no heroes, right? Jelly Roll came
I don't
last
think
night, and
we
that's
have
all we're
any.
going to talk about for the next decade here. That was like the biggest thing ever.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
There's Grey Owl
Ah,
and
Jelly
Jelly
Roll,
Roll.
okay.
Those are the two things that have come to this. Bret Hart won a world title here. That's it. That's the trifecta. You can't judge me because you live in a good place.
I wouldn't say I live in a good place at all. I just your references are very
Very
specific
Saskatchewan.
to
Apparently,
yeah.
apparently highways are busy outside of this province. I had no idea.
They sure are. Are. So Glenda's at the door. She says she works out, she's on a diet, and she has spent $100,000 on plastic surgery. And he introduces, this is where Joey comes stumbling down the stairs. He introduces her to his sons, and then Buzz comes waltzing in like a true perv. As they leave, they're all staring at the window at them on the porch.
Did you
And
notice Anthony's just going,
No, I
go
didn't.
back and watch that. The actors are getting away with so much this week. Anthony is just rhythmically nodding his head in the window.
So good. So good. But as they're outside on the porch, she tells Nick as they're leaving on their date that she only spent $25,000 of that on her face.
What do you make of that joke, Sal?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, but
She
you know.
spent $75,000 on her vagina. Is that the joke? Is that
well, I
what-
mean, I guess on
is that what they're going for?
I guess
Like,
on the rest, on the rest of her body, that's where she spent the money.
okay, all right. I don't even like. Does it
I
have
don't think there's
grills
much
like a
more to it
rapper's
than
mouth?
that.
I don't know. I can't. I guess.
She spent
It was a dumb joke.
$75,000 building a log cabin like Grey Owl.
Right. You're gonna. I'm sorry, man. Jeez, you're gonna be a Grey Owl expert starting next week. You're gonna constantly reference.
Oh my
them. You'll be
God,
like,
I'm
"Oh,
gonna
you
have
didn't know-
so
you-
much.
Oh yeah, you didn't know about his homemade like stove Curtis. Oh, that's too bad. I thought you liked Grey Owl. Just gonna dunk on me with Grey Owl trivia next week.
I gotta learn some stuff about Grey Owl. Apparently,
There's also a fight between like Manitoba and Saskatchewan of like, because I think he built like cabins on both sides of the border, and you talk to people in Manitoba and they're like, "You talking about? Yeah, that's our Grey Owl." I'm like, I don't know, man. He's got a pretty famous.
Wow.
You can still do like it's like a 2-day trek. I've never done it up in like Waskesiu. You can do like you can't drive. You have to like canoe to Grey Owl's cabin. He said it's huge here, huge, Sal. But it's funny because when the whole thing broke with Buffy St. Marie, where it's like, oh, she's not actually like an indigenous artist. Everyone in
Right.
Saskatchewan, Manitoba were like, yeah, that sucks.
they were like, "Good Grey Owl,
Don't take our Grey Owl cabin. To be fair, Grey Owl didn't win a Juno, but he should have.
Fair. He won a
Hashtag
Juno
justice
in your
for
heart.
Grey Owl. He did. He won every year a Juno in my heart. Juno in my heart sounds like an 80s synth band. Where are we, Sal?
Totally.
We're totally
Oh,
okay.
God, I don't
Yeah,
even
she
know.
spent $100,000 on surgery to make herself beautiful, and she only spent $25,000 on her face. And the crowd goes, "Ooh!" And yeah, I was like, "What do you does that mean?" Get it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So it's back in the living room. Joey's telling Tony it must be a real bummer to be ugly, and then he just stares at Tony. And then did you clock this? That some dude in the audience laughed really, really hard at that joke. They had to like take a full break before Anthony could say his next line because some dude in the audience was laughing his ass off.
It's probably like that actor's like real life boyfriend was like, "Oh, it's so true. I'm dating this ugly guy. I'm
Yeah.
dating the ugly guy in the crew. Like this sucks.
Yeah.
Joey Lawrence turned me down, and now I'm with this guy."
Yeah.
all I
And
could
then
think
I
of.
was taking notes, so I didn't really follow what happened exactly, but Tony leaves and Anthony picks up a Cosmo magazine off the table, and I think he's gonna like pound one out to the magazine or something. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
But then it goes into like a dream sequence. It's like Wayne's World, and
Yeah.
he's in this like super cheap set. It's just like a black backdrop.
Yeah, it's like a black.
It's like what you do when you don't have money. And it's like his fairy godmother's there, and she's like, "Wake up!" And she's got like a weird Boston accent.
But first she says Joey about a dozen times. I'm like, God, what? Shut up! Like, it got very annoying to me by the end. She just kept being like, Joey, Joey, Joey,
Yeah.
Joey. I don't know. That was my takeaway from the whole thing. Yeah, but she was clearly some model. I said she must be a famous model, but she's the model from the front of the magazine, who in Joey's daydream is his fairy godmother. And she's saying all these metaphors to Joey that he's clearly not getting. They're going right over his head. And she says, you have to show people what you're like on the inside. He says, sure, but what if I go outside? And the same guy in the audience laughs his ass off again.
Somebody just munching the edibles and wandered into the soundstage.
Totally.
I thought
then-
this was sorry, finish up.
No. So yeah, basically she's trying to teach Joey a lesson here, but it's going completely over his head. In the end, he asks, is it okay to date your fairy godmother? And she says, only in Kentucky. And I went, eat Kentucky.
Blossom's coming for you. To be fair, I thought Joey Lawrence once again like made this crappy script work because she was like, "You're good looking."
Well,
so people
clearly
are
that
gonna
guy was
assume-
laughing his ass off at every
He's
line
like-
that he said.
She's like, "Joey, you're a good-looking person, so people are just gonna assume you're dumb." And he goes, "So a blind person would think I'm smart?" And she's like, "Well, no, Joey." And he goes, "What if I was on the phone?" And she's like, "No, Joey." And I said, "Joey Lawrence, like honestly, another acting tour de force, taking lemons and making like gold bricks out of just a bad script." So yeah, they do the. You need to show people how smart you are on the inside. He goes, "What about when I'm outside?" She goes, "Don't be an object to your boss's desires." And then, yeah, only in Kentucky. And then out of nowhere, he goes, "Can you hook me up with the girl from Beauty and the Beast?" Just hung on that scene like one line too long.
Yeah.
Like, what does Belle have
Yeah.
to do with any of this? Maybe it was just like that was the biggest movie in '92 or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it probably was.
Didn't stick the landing there. And we don't really come out of the
No.
fantasy. They must have cut that part where it goes when he's back on the couch because it just like, I don't know, maybe he never comes out. We never get that closure. We just go to too many cooks.
He's
and
constantly
Joey-
just living in that space in his head.
Yeah. So Joey's talking about his work sexual harassment dilemma with 6 of all people. Yeah, she's not going to give you good information. So
Yeah.
Joey.
Yeah. He comes into the kitchen moping, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Oh, I got to go out with my gorgeous 18-year-old boss on Friday night." And they're like, "Oh boy, that sounds real terrible, Joey." But then he's explaining how his job depends on it, and he feels like Anita Bryant, the one. And then Blossom says, "The orange juice lady," and he says, "No, the one who worked for Judge Clarence Clemens." And both of those references over my head. I did look it up.
Oh, good. Thank you. I was like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, there's
They
a
hit
lot of
me.
information here. So
me.
Anita Bryant was an American singer and Christian activist, and she was a heavy duty activist against gay rights in the United States. She was also a brand ambassador for the Florida Citrus Commission, which is where the orange juice thing comes in. And you can read
that's where
you can-
Orange Bird comes from.
Whoa, Phenom with the save. Amazing.
Keep going. I mean, my mind's been blown multiple times, but keep going.
I mean, I basically skimmed her Wikipedia page. So anybody listening or watching this, if you're interested in Anita Bryant, it's all on there. I think Joey was thinking about American attorney Anita Hill, who testified to the Supreme Court that she was sexually harassed by Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas in 1991. And I'm assuming that's where he was going with that.
And she's the voice of Figment. Sorry, keep going.
That was all I really had about that. Clarence
All right.
Thomas still sits on the Supreme Court today, and from what I'm aware of, he is also a gigantic piece of shit. But we can move on.
I don't want to move on because 6 is just like foaming at the mouth as Joey talks about his boss patting him on the butt, and she's like, "Can we reenact it? Like, I don't really get it," because she wants to pat Joey's butt, and Joey just like no sells it, and then out of nowhere she just bails. Did you see that? Like, she can't take it. She's just like, "I gotta go," and she leaves. And I was expecting her to come back 3 minutes later like Kramer and be like, "I'm out." Put money on the table.
Well, Blossom actually kicked her out of the house.
Oh, did she? Okay, sorry, I missed that
she
part.
was. She was like, "That's enough of this. Get the hell out of here." Like, she was like, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow," and like she left.
Yeah.
And then Joey said he's going to quit his job, and then I feel like the line that he ended on here was great, where he's like, "The teen years are so confusing," because Blossom basically explains to him like what sexual harassment is, and like he's the one that's being harassed, whereas he's not used to being in this position. I don't know. It was pretty good, actually, the conversation between him and Blossom, I thought.
Again, I saw what they were going for. This is actually, in fairness, this is good stuff. They've like reversed roles. They put Joey in this position, but God, not Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
I know, right?
Right?
Wrong casting call.
Yeah.
And like, wouldn't she have been in the height of like, would she not have been in the height of like Saved by the Bell?
She ended up on Beverly Hills 90210. She was on the cover of like every Maxim magazine for the first like year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And she was she on 90210 or was she on Melrose Place?
No, she was on 90210.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
So, anyways, weird
not
casting
an ugly
role here,
lady. So Goat Lady or whatever her name was, Dudley, admits to Nick that this was actually a setup. She wanted Nick to want her,
yes,
so she could reject him, but he had changed,
right?
And he's a good person now. However, he can't change who he was, so she ends up rejecting him after all. And I'm pretty sure Vince Russo wrote this part,
but not before Nick tries.
Yeah,
not before Nick throws out a Hail Mary. Tries to make it work. But as she's leaving, she said, "Well, I did spend $100,000 on plastic surgery, but I didn't spend anything on therapy," and then leaves. So
once again, women
great.
just
Happy
in a glowing light
Glenda,
here on Blossom in 1992.
Yeah.
We rein it in
so
now,
then
though.
Blossom comes into the kitchen. Sorry?
With Blossom and Nick. They're having a serious conversation about women using flirtatious actions to get men to do what they want. And Nick says, like, all that stuff is okay if you're with someone who knows that they are doing it. Is that, like, what did you make of that? It was a very, like...
I didn't understand the lesson there that he was trying to give to her. It was very odd.
He's like, the manipulation is basically okay if you're in a relationship. I was like,
yeah, but he was like, if the other person is okay with you doing it, it's like, all right, I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. That one was really weird. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, but she said that she's had a long philosophical talk with Joey and decided that she was going to give her license back and take the test again. And Nick kind of has this like proud moment where Blossom does the right thing and like figures it all out. And as she leaves the room, he realizes that she was talking about Joey.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, back to the video store. Joey stands up to Tiffany Amber Thiessen and is like, "I refuse your sexual advances, and you don't have to fire me because I quit."
Yeah, and the crowd went wild. He got like a standing O for that line when he said, "I quit," and stormed out. So, I mean, I guess the lesson was learned. You know?
dumb.
What a waste of Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
100%.
Like, what a complete waste.
Just like 2 episodes ago, they had this random girl who's like, "Oh, I'm a supermodel. I'm dating Anthony, and I'm a supermodel," and she was like a 4 to Tiffany Amber Thiessen's 12. Like,
Hey,
good
man,
casting, folks. Good
don't
casting.
be slagging on Rhonda Joe Applegate like that.
I forgot.
How dare you?
So yeah, he quits. He stands up for men everywhere and says no to Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
And-
All right.
And
yelled
men
at
get
my
another
TV.
30 years of being in power because of this.
Yep.
So in the living room, Blossom walks back in, and it's the same scene as before. They have the balloons and the sign and the camera, and she's excited this time. And they're saying, "Oh, you got your license," and she's excited because she failed, but she did it on her own merit. What's your takeaway? I know you got something here.
I don't know how I ended up with this. I was gonna make I don't even know. I was gonna make a joke about Joey storming out, and he had like a big wet stain after standing up to Tiffany Amber Thiessen. And then I wrote, one time I got invited to a premature ejaculator support group. I didn't know what to wear, so I just came in my pants. I don't know why I wrote that.
Did you come up with that?
I don't know. I don't know why I decided to put that in there right now. Well,
I'm glad you got it in there.
Sorry, so stupid.
Good God. All right.
Blossom comes home from her driving test and everyone cheers, but nope, she failed. Worse than last time. But she failed on her own merits in baggy pants and a turtleneck. Now she has, Nick has 2 more weeks of practicing driving her around. And Nick, oh no. Wah, wah.
But the episode ends with Tony flipping the sign back to where it says "Better luck next time," and that's how the episode ends. Oh, good stuff.
She
Good
passed
stuff.
the test in the credits, in the closing credits, and then she starts crying because she's happy. And this knob cries again, and this is stupid. This was a very uneven episode.
Yeah, he cries.
They
He
needed-
cries, and they hug it out, and that's how the episode ends.
They needed the schmuck to like give this the treatment.
Yeah, he needed to punch it up a little bit. He needed to punch up the jokes. Overall, I will say it wasn't a bad episode of the show. It was very uneven in its messages and how things landed, but overall, it's not one of the worst.
No.
It was okay.
Like I said, I can't remember who wrote this, but they needed to tag back in Jonathan Schmock because he could have workshopped this and made it sing. But yeah, it was about
Schmock
average.
needed a hot tag.
It was about average
Yeah.
with season 2 writing. It wasn't. They were so close. Some things landed. A lot of things just like what. Does Horton here's a who? That made me mad because literally they made that set up a delivery last episode and turned it into a Ku Klux Klan joke instead of
Right.
does Horton hear a who? Come on, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah, you can't win them all. See, you can't win them all. That's what's the lesson you learned this week? What's your takeaway?
I guess my lesson: you can't win them all. It's like Sal said. If you have access to Tiffany Amber Thiessen and she's willing to come on your show, yeah, use her better. That's even to this day. I don't care.
Agree with that.
2025.
Did she just
if you
happen to
can get
like
Tiffany Amber Thiessen? If you can get Tiff Am Thies on your show, use her. Use her better. Don't
T
make
Am
Tiffany-
Thies?
Don't make TAT a villain. I would cheer Tiffany Amber Thiessen if she was punting orphans into the crowd.
Right?
Like,
You know
cheer
what?
Tiffany
I
Amber
feel like
Thiessen if she was driving over senior citizens as they crossed on the crosswalk. I mean, I will never boo Tiffany Amber Thiessen. You can't make her a bad guy.
right. Well, they tried in this one. You know how in the last episode you said how like they must have like the actor who's playing the sub vice principal must have called in sick that day or something. I feel like maybe the Thies was like got to set for Saved by the Bell that day and they were like, "Oh, actually we don't have any scenes for you." So she was just like wandering around and they were like, "Oh no, our actor bailed today. Do you want to you want to like make a bunch of money to have 2 lines in this Blossom episode? And she was like, okay, sure.
That's actually, honestly, like probably not far off. Because like the more I actually not joke about and think about it, this seems like in the way this show has been written in season 2, they probably would have had like, you know, like uglied someone up for this role a little bit. You know, they probably, and I'm not trying to make a joke here, like just judging on how this show has played out in season 2, I feel like their first choice was probably like a bigger lady that they like, you know, put a bad wig on or something to play that role. Because putting the world's hottest woman in that role really didn't make any sense.
It didn't seem fitting for what it was, but either way, Joey stood up for himself at the end.
Yeah. Yay, Joey. Good job, buddy. Idiot.
Well done, Joey. You turned down Tiffany Amber Thiessen in the 90s.
And did not, and other than that one idiot yelling in the crowd, no one else was impressed.
I certainly wasn't.
I'm still mad about it 30 years later.
Right? Pick characters this week. So, Ugly Dudley, Glenda Dudley, was played by Terry Copley. Nothing notable on her. Perry Anzalotti was the driving instructor. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but he comes back in season 3 as bartender. So he's not in the pit yet.
He waited by his phone between those 2 gigs, 100%.
Absolutely. Tiffany Amber Thiessen, we got the Thies as Ricky. And the first and last time we see her in Blossom, she's in the pit. And Vendela Kirsbaum was the fairy godmother. She is a Norwegian-Swedish model, television host, and actress. Also in the pit.
Wow. None of them come back.
Except for your driving instructor.
Yeah, I don't know if Tiffany Amber Thiessen really deserves to be in the pit. I know she's in the Blossom pit, but she's far from stuck in the pit. She continued on Saved by the Bell and went to Beverly Hills 90210 in its dying days. Although I don't know, I don't think she got it any better over there. I think she ended up with Steve, didn't she? If I remember. Like,
really?
Poor girl. Yeah.
Oh man.
Ian.
Steve.
Ian. That must have been the season he wrote. It's like, oh, we got Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yeah, right.
New direction.
So she hooks up with Steve almost instantly.
Like immediately.
Like, all right, Ian Ziering, whatever you want, man.
I do remember there was one season that like Jason Priestley wrote, and the very first episode he like went out on like a finding yourself like road trip by himself. It was just an episode of no one else. It was just him, and he went to this bar and he was like bar fighting. I was like, I'm never watching this show again. That was the last episode I ever saw until I think I watched the season finale, and it had Tiffany Amber Thiessen in it. But yeah,
wow.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get to write your own show. So next week,
next week,
I was gonna make a writing your own show joke, but I can't think of anything. But yeah, we got the finale next week.
Season 2. What do we got, Fino?
Season 2 finale is Spring Fever.
Oh boy,
that sounds like a hot ending to season 2.
I will say,
who's gonna have Spring
up
Fever?
This episode.
What do you think? Let's make a bet.
Wow, it's got to be Blossom.
I guess they don't discuss
She's
any
the main
C&D
character of the
storylines
show.
in their one line.
If somebody's like Joey is sick and has an actual fever on the show, like that's gonna, I feel like that's gonna be like a secondary plot.
That's right.
But looking up this episode on IMDb when I was just looking up all the information for today, I saw that next week's episode has a little asterisk beside it, and it is a highly rated Blossom episode.
Shut up.
Yeah, highly
What does that
rated on
even mean?
IMDb.
What
I
does
don't
that
know.
even mean?
I guess we'll find out once we get to it. So
I'm excited.
That
I'm
to look
pumped
forward
now.
to.
Hopefully
All right.
that sounds like some Jonathan Schmock work. Let's hope the
gotta
Schmock
be.
comes back.
It's got to be the work of the schmuck. Season 2 finale next week, man. Let's do
I
it.
can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dude.